White people are on average, 8 times richer than we are in terms of their wealth. And we need to do something about that. And you heard me many times talk about it. So today, guys, I have a home builder, one of the largest in eastern North Carolina. His name is Mr. Dewitt Newkirk. He's here along with his wife to talk about the pros and cons of home ownership and what we need to do to ensure that we are looking out for future generations. And that is generational wealth. So, I want to thank him and his wife, and here we go with the interview. The builders in eastern North Carolina with us today, and that is Mr. Dewitt Newkirk, Unshakeable Builders.
Right.
Welcome, Mr. Newkirk, and you're here with your wife.
Yes,
all right,
my wife,
Mrs.
Courtney.
Newkirk.
That's right.
Hello, Mrs. Newkirk. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How you doing?
Oh, not bad. I'm so glad to have y'all in the house.
Yeah.
And, Mr. Dewitt is a prominent builder of luxury homes in eastern North Carolina. He's based out of Greenville, North Carolina.
Right.
And I was introduced to Dewitt by Tracy Stokes, my first cousin and Deacon. And he's from the area. He's from Robinsonville. And I do want to do a shout out to Tracy and thank him for introducing the Walk Weekly to Dewitt and Unshakeable Builders. So, with that said, let's move along. Let's start with your early childhood and how did you get into building? And I saw something where you said you were 2 years old on a roof doing some work, that your uncle had put you up there to do some roof work.
Well, he put me out there and attempted to do some roof work. I started off in construction. I'm fourth generation in construction. So my uncle, that instance you're talking about is they were doing painting a metal roof. The old houses had the metal tin roofs on top of them.
Right.
So he was painting that, we were recoating the roof. So I was just on the roof.
Okay.
Just up there.
Risky your life.
But they still got those pictures and stuff. Yeah. I still look back to this day and wonder how my mom was allowed and let them have me up there on the roof without getting nervous and all that stuff. I wouldn't know if I would let my kids do it today, but I was up there.
Yeah. But I know when you're a kid, you throw carelessness, caution to the wind, right?
That's right.
Because you figure you're going to live forever.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, I did see wherein you started with your uncle, or your uncle was heavily involved along with your father in teaching you the business.
Right. Yeah, I grew up in while my uncle was a house mover, so he started off moving houses in Wallace, North Carolina. And he branched out. He was doing like little home renovations where the main thing he was doing in older houses, they were built on what you call seals. So they had like the wood joists and they were built on wood foundations. So he would go in, if your houses were sinking and moving, he would go in under the houses, jack them up and level your floors out and re-shim them. And from there, he got into doing more like little home renovations, little home repairs and things of that nature. And my dad was working at a manufacturing company where they were loading trucks and moved around. And he got hurt on his job. He had injured his back on the job. So he started helping my uncle on the side once he finished that job. And he just started in construction from there. So from then, I was maybe 10, 11 years old at that time. So when my dad just started helping my uncle do things and working, his name was Uncle, we called him Uncle Boy Blue. We used to help him go in and renovate or do little room addition, little small jobs. And we just kept growing from there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I noticed that, being from the South, we all got nicknames. Uncle Boy Blue.
Yeah, Uncle Boy Blue. His
got
real
a nickname
name
there? Do you have a nickname?
I don't have a nickname. They used to call me, my uncle called me Man growing up, but I don't have necessarily a nickname. They better call me
you're too
Newkirk.
serious, I guess, with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
your head was just pointed directly at, going into business. But, tell me more about that. Now, we covered, I would say, your early childhood. Mm-hmm. All right. But let's take it. Let's look at your high school. Were you doing any work in high school with your father? Did you work with your father primarily?
I worked with my dad in high school primarily. By that time, my uncle died when I was 13 and a half years old. I'll never forget it. Coming there that day, I went and seen him that morning. Came back afternoon. He was gone. He passed away. And I remember that was in middle school. So, but I mean, I still remember putting down floors with him. People like, how long you been doing this? I've been doing it so long. I remember him teaching me how to hold a hammer by the end, not choking the hammer, how to hold this hand saw, the cut with hand saw, how to install floors under the houses with them crawling in there. But when the time I got to high school, my uncle was already gone. My daddy had already taken over the business and he was working. So by the time I got to high school at 14, 15 years old, I can really do a renovation job, do room additions, pretty much almost on my own. A lot of people don't believe that, but I was one of my daddy's right-hand people. I was running, we used to do work for HUD housing. We were doing like the renovation where the city go in and do renovation of homes. I was doing all those projects, leading the crews all summer long. Like that's what I would do during the summer. So I played football. I would play sports. I would work all summer long in construction, work with my dad, and just keep going all the way through school. So, yeah, I did all of that through middle school, all the way through high school. Even when I got to college, when I was in college playing sports and I go home for the summer, I was always working and doing construction the whole time.
Excellent, excellent. Now, I don't want to ignore Miss Courtney.
Oh, you're fine. I love hearing the stories.
Oh,
I'm
you
good.
love hearing the stories.
I do.
Okay. That's
do.
so
I'm
great.
good.
When did y'all guys met in college? I don't mean
We
to
did.
jump off topic.
When I was 17, and I'm 40 now, so we've been together
Wow.
for a long time.
Wow.
I'm here at Elizabeth City State University.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
That's so nice. Wonderful, wonderful. Excellent. Okay, so going back to your working with your father in high school, when you got to college, your major, what did you major in?
I majored in physical education in college. I went to school. I always knew I wanted to be a contractor. I just ain't see the route because I heard about contracting growing up, getting licensed and stuff like that. But so my dad didn't have license, so we were just doing projects under the state limit of $30,000. No, we do like little small project, room addition, remodel, bathroom renovations, kitchen renovations, things of that nature. So I always wanted to
why did you have to do that? Because of why? Why did you have to kick that? Yeah, that cap of $30,000. Why is that?
'Cause that's a state requirement. You can't, if you don't have a license, you can't do any project over $30,000.
Oh, okay.
That's a state requirement. So
Okay.
I mean, that's what we just kept everything under the limits. That way, if my dad never had to, we never really got licensed to do bigger projects. So when I went to school, I majored in physical education because I assumed that I was playing sports. Most of my coaches was
Yeah,
coaching
did you
in
play
there.
football?
So I played football up there at Elizabeth City State. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Vikings.
Viking pride. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They still got the blue and silver, right?
Blue, white, and silver, and red.
Blue,
Yep.
white, and silver. Yeah, I remember. I was in the marching band, so yeah. Oh, a lot of people don't realize that. The football players have to return early,
Yep.
right? And the band returns around the same time.
Oh, the band. In high school, you got a band, but you don't paying attention to them college bands ain't no joke. They got
They
back
serious.
there working out up and down the stadium. Like, hey, these guys ain't playing. Cause,
We were up at
serious.
6:00, man. We had to run a mile, and then we go and eat at the cafeteria. But I'm quite sure back then that's much different than it is now. That place, I probably wouldn't even recognize it.
Yeah, there's a lot of building out there now. Mm-hmm.
But I got all pride. I'm so happy with Elizabeth City State. They gave me an opportunity. I did get 1 year in there before my mom died, and I had to come back to New York. But I was born in Williamson, North Carolina, and I left there when I was like 16, 17 years old.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
so I'm familiar with
from
Greenville.
I'm from Wallace, North Carolina. So we played Williamston back in the day. I'm from
Well,
Wallace.
you got your
Wallace,
butt
North
kicked
Carolina.
in.
No.
Oh, this is for Herman Boone. When I was in high school, Herman Boone was our coach.
Wow.
E.J.
Yeah.
Hayes. I went to E.J. Hayes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got
So
you.
you know what happened when he was there.
All I know is we got the number one winningest coach in North Carolina history at Wallace, so I don't know about that.
What?
Yeah, Wallace Rose
Didn't
got
see
the
that.
number one winningest coach in North Carolina history, so we had to be pretty good a lot of years.
Oh, okay. All right. I can't. Hey, that's two generations. One generation
I
for
got
me.
you.
So
I
I really
got you.
can't speak too much to that.
I got
But
you.
I mean, it's a lot of fun to talk about it, right?
That's right.
All right. So now going back to what you're doing now. What motivated you to start Unshakeable Builders? All right. I know the lead up with your uncle and your father, and doing it while you were young up until you went to college. And what made you start Unshakeable Builders?
I didn't have intention of starting Unshakeable Builders. When I left, I went back home after college. I went and played professional football. We went and played I played a little bit of Reds. I went to Washington Redskins rookie camp. Then
Okay.
I didn't make the active roster, so I went to Buffalo Bills for a camp up there. I didn't make the roster there, so I ended up playing arena football down in Corpus Christi, Texas. So I was still playing ball then, traveling, doing that stuff. So after a while, I realized my football career wasn't getting anywhere because I was supposed to be on Arena 1 the next year. Find out that league got canceled. So by this time, I already have two children. I had a child when I was 19, my oldest daughter, Destiny. Then I had my first son, Samuel, with Courtney when I was in college. So I got two children. I said, I got to go to work.
Oh,
I
yeah.
came back home. I came back home and started working with my dad. Then I went back to working in Wallace with my dad. So we out working. I never forget, we're doing a job in Whiteville. We're doing a renovation job on a funeral home. So we're renovating the entire funeral home. And me and my daddy got in a big debate that he wanted something done. And I told him I wasn't doing it because the lady wasn't paying us for it. They were trying to actually get over on us for doing it. I said, I'm not doing that, man. She's not paying us to do this.
Is that the white door, brown door?
The white
scenario?
door, brown door. That's right. So we had all the new doors in the house, and we put up one new door, and it was white, and all the other doors were brown, and she wanted that door, all the doors to be white. But she didn't want to pay us to paint them all. I said, no, I'm not doing it. So me and my dad got in a big altercation, and I said, you know what, I'm leaving. I said, don't worry about it. I graduated from college. I said, I'm leaving. So I left and came to Greenville, and I was just staying with my sister, living on the couch back and forth, and I was working for a mental health agency. I was doing mentoring with kids or whatever. So I was mentoring and working with kids, and the guy that was actually doing getting his office I was working for, he was getting a renovation done to his office. And then when he came in, it was like he was upset because he had got a price to do some new walls and new renovation in his office. And he was like, man, I ain't going to be able to get this done. But he needed to get it done for the state requirement for him to be able to expand his business. And I was like, what they charge you to do it? He told me the price. I think like $50,000. Like, 50 to do what? And I was trying to figure out what they were trying to do, what he was doing. I said, I can do that. So by that time, when he said, I can do that. So he said, you will not do no construction. I said, man, I've been doing construction my entire life. I can. So he said, what you mean? I said, look, I can do it. Then I gave him a material list. I said, let me show me the plan. Let me show you what you're going to do. So I drew, get like a little sketch. I said, this is what I need to do it. You order this material, you do this and do this. I'll be able to do this, renovate this whole office for you. So long story short, I ended up getting that job, renovated that office for him. He paid me just $5,000 for labor only. I done the whole business. Like, man, you need to start a construction company. I ain't no jobs and that. Then that was the first job I did here actually in Greenville.
Right.
So by that time, I was back at church. I was still doing mental health agency, working and mentoring kids, doing stuff like that. And his neighbor, and it was another guy named Dax Nelson I worked for. That's how I actually started. I had no license when I did that job. So Dax's neighbor was getting a room addition done to the house, and the guy was messing the room addition up. He wasn't finishing it. He was taking a long time to do it. He said, well, I got a guy at my church that do home improvement work. Maybe he can help you get your room finished. Deacon Bell, I'll never forget. So Deacon Bell asked my sister about my dad. He knew my dad did it. My sister said, well, my brother, he can do it. And from there on, I mean, I went over and met with Dax. He told me, look, he said, man, I pulled up. I had a 1994 Cadillac then. I didn't have no truck or anything. He was like, man, you don't do no construction. I was 26, 27 years old. I was like, yes, I do. By that time, he said, I ain't let you work in my house, man, because it's a big room today. We're talking about today's project, it's probably like a $200,000 project. Because I can finish this project, man. So by that time, he said, nah. So he had a building in Robinsonville, like an old commercial building. Then you think you can renovate this building? I said, yeah, I can do it. So I went down that building, we renovated that building. And when I finished that building, that guy still wasn't finished his room yet. So he fired that guy, and I took over that project, finished that for him. And then from there, he was like, man, do you know how to do new houses? I said, I've never built a new house before, but I'm pretty sure I can. I said, just like a room addition, you're just adding one extra wall to it. I mean, a room addition is 3 walls, you add on to something. A house, you just add a 4th wall and do the same thing.
Oh, okay.
And from then on, I ended up building him 6 houses out in Robinsonville. So you say you from Williams, I built 6 houses in Robinsonville.
12 miles from me, yeah.
Yeah, I built right there in Robinsonville on Evergreen Street. Mm-hmm. I ended up building 6 houses out there. They still out there today. They're my first 6 houses I ever built.
Every time you drive by there, I think that y'all guys would get really, how would you say, not excited, but you're somewhat humbled by the fact that you can drive by something that you built and look at it 10, 15, 20 years later and say, yeah, I built that.
Yep.
That's got to be an awesome feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all right. All right, so anyway, tell me now, you got someone to help you achieve your goal of getting a construction license, right? Mm-hmm. Then you came up with Unshakeable Builders, right? How did that come into play?
Well, that came into play with same thing with Dax. Whenever I first started and we were working, trying to get the houses built, when we get to go get the building permits, because before he could pull the building permits, his name, it was his personal house, and the other thing was his was that renovation, he can get the building permit, his name, because it was his project. He was just paying me just to work for him. So when I went to go get the permits to build the new houses, you had to have a contractor license, and I didn't have a license. So that's when Dak asked me, do you think you'll be able to build houses? I said, yeah. So in order to get licensed in the state of North Carolina, you got to have working capital to be able to do it. And I didn't have the working capital. So God put it on Dak's heart. He gave me the money to be able to input in the bank to be able to sit the state to take the state exam to be able to get my contract license. So that's when I came up with the name of Unshakeable Builders. I didn't come up with it. I was talking to my pastor about it at that time. I go to Cornelia Christian Center. then she came up with that name. We were just talking and trying to come up with business names, and we were just talking through the scenario, and she was like, Unshakeable Builders. And that name stuck out to me. She named about 10 names. But that name stuck out to me, and I just kept saying, I like that. I just kept that name from there.
Yeah,
that's how Unshakeable Builders got started. Yep. So when you hear it one time, you won't forget it. Like it's like a name that you don't forget. So that's why I just kept it. Yep.
Yeah, that's a great name. It's a great marketing name too.
Yep.
You know. Yeah. I did want to ask you now. Once you started Unshakable Builders, and we're going to talk about your contact information, which will be embedded in the show notes. So, Unshakable Builders, you've been in business since 2000. I mean, it became a legal entity in 2009. Since then, you have built, what would you estimate the number of homes that you have built and then the price level?
I don't think I built that.
I don't know, over 200.
Yeah, you don't remember, you can't count them all.
I can't. I know today I used to have a company named McGee AutoCAD that would print my plans for me before we got a new office. I had my own printer.
Right.
And I sent my project manager over there to get a plan that were old plan that we were about to rebuild. I built before, and they told him that, well, he got about 150 plans in our system that he had built. So I know over 150 for sure. I would say if I'm looking at houses, I would say plus 500 houses that we've built over the years.
Wow. So what would you do with Unshakable Builders now? Sweet spot, your clientele, your customer base. Do you have a particular demographic that you look at, or you just look at just the needs? I mean, how do you?
I don't think about it. I deal when I do stuff. Everything I do is based off faith. To be honest with you, man, it ain't a necessarily a formula that I can say I got in hand. Where I would say I'm looking at the dynamics of who's coming to town, who can afford it, who can buy this. We build anything from I'm building a house right now for $179,000 all the way up to a $5 million house. So I got all ranges.
Okay.
So we got small custom homes, mid-sized custom homes, upper mid-sized custom, and luxury. We do all phases of it. So
that's so cool.
I mean, we got every spectrum covered from starter homes to finished to townhomes to apartments, to commercial facilities, commercial daycare facilities. We do all ranges.
Awesome. Now, I'm proud of y'all guys. I'm so proud of y'all. You don't know. I'm awestruck to be talking to a builder. When I was growing up in Williamston, my best friend, his father was an electrician. This is back in the 60s when I grew up in the 60s and 70s. Wow. Mm-hmm. And he was an electrical person, the only one I ever known to be of our persuasion, or, to be a black person. Right. In those early days. And he died a couple of years ago, like 95, 97, 98. I looked up to him as a kid, but construction just wasn't my thing. I was more academically predisposed. Actually, at that time, I wasn't doing much but playing my horn. That's all that mattered to me at that age, during that time, rather.
Gotcha.
So to get back and not get, I digress. I don't want to digress too much, but I will occasionally. I'm going to get back to Unshakable Builders and you in particular. So you had some crossroads where you played football, you played it professionally, and then you got back to starting Unshakable Builders through assistance and knowing what the requirements were and meeting those requirements of the North Carolina state. Do you have any problems with, up in New York, everything is union. Mm-hmm. Okay, you got to go through the union to get anything done. I've had guys to make a delivery of, let's say, a washing machine. They'll deliver it, but they won't install it. Stuff like that, where they got a separation of duties, and that is enforceable. Do you run into those type of problems with unions and that type of thing down in North Carolina?
No, we don't have that issue in North Carolina, thank God. I mean, I hear about some of the horror stories up north, but here in North Carolina, we don't operate like that with unions. We when you call the company, you're working directly with that company themselves. They got their own employees. They send them out to get stuff done and install. Now, a lot of things are being, like with the stuff being delivered, like you just mentioned, the refrigerator and stove, third-party companies are starting to do it. Like if I buy something from Lowe's, they send a third-party company to bring them out, but they still install them, set them up, and make sure everything's set up the way it should be. I can imagine working with a union would be kind of difficult because people don't want to. They got a certain amount of time. They got to work. They got to do it this way.
You got the apprenticeships and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. No, we don't
they
have
use
that
as a somewhat of a gate. You got to knock on that gate to come in. So you got to know people. Then you got to go on an apprenticeship for X amount of years. You would know more about that than me, but these are the stories that I've heard. Yeah.
No, we don't have that. We don't have that in North Carolina.
Excellent. It's at will. And whoever you contract out to, suppliers, anything like that, they deal with that kind of stuff. I guess so. They face off to that. So, how has your faith influenced your business decisions?
I would say our faith influenced all of our business decisions. Man, we were just talking about this the other morning, right, man? Mm-hmm. She was talking to me about everything we do, from the way we handle our employees, from the way we build, from the way we go inside the houses, everything we do, even buying the land and the deals that presented us is through faith. I mean, like some of the land that we're building on now, we got two big major subdivisions going on, a major apartment complex about to go up at the same time. All of this stuff came to me not through advertisement, not through me going out researching, not through somebody looking at it. All of it came to me by somebody calling me and asking me, do I want to take it over or where we want to buy it? Mm-hmm. And all of it was land that we were looking at that we asked each other about, but never went and did no research to try to get it. Mm-hmm. And God sent the people directly to us and called me to get it. Like even the neighborhood we live in now, we're building Southern Estates. Mm-hmm. Southern Estates is named after my uncle. His name was James Sutherland. So I named the subdivision. It's a $500,000+ home, but I named that subdivision after my uncle. But that land was right behind us, and I was like, man, I wonder who owned that. We were talking about it one week. The next week, we're standing out in the front yard talking. Somebody called my phone and said, look, we got the land over by you. Would you be interested in buying it? No sign, never hit the market or anything. That's how I ended up getting that. Another piece of land, we're about to build the 220 apartments. We got a whole full line of commercial facilities, everything going in, like 22 acres, North Greenville up here. We lived in an older black neighborhood, like one of the prominent black neighborhoods in town before we moved to our new house, North Greenville, and we always just ride our four-wheels over there, just vacant land. And I tried to buy the land about 10 years ago. I went myself to try to buy it from the guy. He wouldn't sell it to me. No, I ain't selling. No, we're not selling that. That's not for sale. Fast forward, I ended up buying it last year. I don't think he knew it was me that was buying it. He tried to put it up for sale with a realtor. The first person the realtor called was me. Asked me, do we want to buy it? I said, yeah, I want to buy it. We put it under contract and close the deal. So I believe everything we do and every decision we make, every house we build, the way we even build houses and buy stuff, it's all based off the faith and based off the Holy Spirit leading God. Well, so even with sales right now, so my wife is my realtor, so she handles all the sales. I build it. She lists them for sale and sell everything. So even right now, she was talking about the prayer. We prayed, like we got certain confessions and prayers we make every day where we pray that God send the right people to buy our houses, because it's one thing to sell houses, but you want to sell them to people that influenced by God that come to you at a certain way, because always going to have issues. Nothing's built perfect. We build great homes, but nothing is perfect. Right. So you have issues. We want the right people. We want God to send us the right clientele, the right people at all the time to buy our homes at the same time. So I think everything influenced through faith.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like your methodology there and how y'all guys go about selecting buyers. And so, I mean, that just demonstrates to me that, you really care about the neighborhoods and the community. Oh, yeah. And that's very, very important. You're not just in and out. You're looking down the road and how this house or this community is going to fit into everything else and represent.
But I believe you just got to describe new meaning to what it is you're doing. I don't think we're just building houses. I know a lot of people look at it as building, not just building houses. You're building actual communities. You're building legacy where the most important thing they do is raise their family, raise their kids, their children, their wives, their families put together. That's where they are living under the shelter at. So it's more to it than just having a house here. You're actually building unto God somewhere that somebody can rest in place. That may be their last place they live at for the rest of their lives, the biggest investment of their lives. So not just building houses. You're building investment. You're building, like you said earlier in the show, you're building wealth in families where they're able to have that for the duration of their family, pass it down to their kids. So you're building a generation of wealth. You're building a place of peace, a place of joy, a place of memories for families. So it's more to it than just building houses. I just describe new meaning to it. I don't just look at it as I'm building a house for somebody and pass it on to them. I'm looking at what do they do for a living, what exactly how they will benefit them at the same time. So we look at all spectrums of it when we put something together. Along
with the character of the neighborhood, the people that are there, the legacy people. I think I'll call them that have been there. Mm-hmm. And you want to get someone that's conducive to the neighborhood, that can fit in, that can assimilate. Basically, I'm not saying change your culture and all that, but there's basic things that keeping your lawn cut and all that kind of stuff, and house maintenance. I've been in my house. I bought my house in 1992.
Right.
And I live in Suffolk County, New York, and that's, it's something out here, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Long Island is very, very nice. And, of course, Greenville, you know, those used to be my stomping grounds. Greenville, of course, Williamson, where I came from. And there was one question now. I want to turn to questions, try to ask you questions the audience wants to, would want to know. Now, I know that your website, unshakeablebuilders.com, you know, that is the entry point, along with the phone numbers that I'll have in the show notes. But I'm a buyer, and I'm looking to buy a house, let's say around $200,000 in Greenville, this or that, and I approach you, or do I approach a real estate broker? How would that person approach you, get to your competency building homes?
I'm going to let Courtney answer that because she always get on me about talking to people before they qualify. I'll let her deal with that side of it.
Yes, Courtney, please.
I am a licensed real estate agent, but first and foremost, I'm a representation of the company. So I always notify people, yes, I'm a licensed real estate agent, but I'm a representative of Unshakeable Builders. So if they contact me, they usually contact me through the chat bot that's on the website, or they'll either put something into our info account, which also comes to me. And I will reach out to them and just kind of get some information on them as to, you know, what they need, what their budget is, what they're looking for, if they already have land, if they don't. And then we'll go from there as far as moving towards receiving a preliminary estimate from Dewitt. And then we kind of talk it out to try to come to some sort of agreement in price and budget.
Okay. Is there do you go through a selection process? Do you match these people against certain criteria that you have?
No. What we usually do, I let them kind of do their own journey because some people are at different places. There are those that come straight to us and they're already pre-qualified. They bought a home before. They are familiar with the process. And for those people that let me know they're already familiar with the process, they're already pre-qualified, it moves a little bit faster because I can put them directly in contact with Dewitt after, you know, he's given them the preliminary estimate they agree upon. But then you have some that are just brand new to the process. They have no idea what the first step is. And for those persons, I will return them into our lender, our preferred lender, and kind of let him talk to them about the financial piece. And so we kind of work together to meet in the middle. So once they've been pre-qualified with him, he lets them know about their credit report, what things they might need to fix or pay off, and what that's going to lead to in the process, what information they're going to need. Then I meet them in the middle to say, okay, you're pre-qualified now. Now let's discuss the building option.
For us, it's very, very important, man. Home ownership, and they discourage it, and I hear people talking about how they'd rather rent than buy. But anyway.
I can talk a little bit about that rent than buy thing and explain it to people a little bit more in detail.
Yeah, please.
I think when you look at more people saying they want to rent than buy, is because I think that's the narrative being pushed throughout the government. Because what happens is you get more assistance when you're renting. Because you can go to these rental agencies and some of these brands, they will pay your rent for you. You get in the jam, they'll pay this, and you won't have to worry about trying to go fix your credit and correct things on your credit to be able to home ownership. But I would try to explain to people what they don't realize is home ownership is like a staple for you. So what ends up happening is eventually you'll own this thing, you won't have a payment at all. But it's also harder to get you evicted if you do fall on tough times out of a home that you own than someone where you're just renting. Because you're renting, I just take you to eviction court and you be gone in 30, 45 days. But if you own this home, it'll take the bank a little bit of time to get you out of that house. Also, you'll be gaining equity on the backside. Every time you make a payment, you're actually putting money in a savings account, in my opinion. So every time you make it, whatever goes toward principal, that's actually going back to savings towards you in the long term. So you need to look at it from a different perspective. But I think the narrative is being pushed because you actually can get, right now I build apartments. I'm on both sides of things. So I do apartment complexes, we do townhomes, we do duplexes, and we sell homes. So it's easier for me to get a construction loan to build apartments than something I'm going to rent than it is for me to get something that I'm going to sell to people. I don't know. I don't know if the federal government or anybody got something lined up where they just wanting to push rental more so than actual buying. But I mean, I know that takes place and that happens in the loan and the borrowing process. So I would encourage anybody, instead of renting a property, I mean, if you are renting, I wouldn't rent long term. I would look at everybody may say, I started off renting, but always looking towards buying it, because once you buy something, you're creating longevity, long roots. Because what should happen is, let's say you start with a starter home for $250,000, $300,000. you live in the house for 5 to 7 years, pay down your mortgage that amount, the value of that house is going to increase over time with inflation, 3 to 5%. So now that house you pay $250,000 for is probably worth $325,000. So let's say you sell the house. Now you got an extra, you done paid it down $25,000. You got an extra $80,000, $100,000 to put into your next home. Repeat that process the same way every 5 to 7 years if you want to move, and you do that 3 to 4 times. Your last house you build almost be paid for. You almost pay for it in cash once you build it. So you have equity and you own it. So you just got to know how to work the system for it to work. But if you start off with a smaller one, you build it, you go to a mid-size, you put that money into it. When you sell that mid-size, the value have increased. Now you got an extra $200,000. That's that net worth and that generation wealth you're creating at that point. So now you got $200,000 or $300,000 to put towards the $400,000. Now look at the value. So now when I'm making them payments and I'm paying it down, I'm paying that $200,000 down fast on a house that's worth $400,000 or $500,000. Then when I do sell that house again, and you make all the equity that's in the house, you can turn around and build a new house pretty much in cash. Now you build a house. Now, 25 years later, you built a house in cash. You don't have a house payment. And I can tell you, living without a house payment and living, that's a dream I think everybody should shoot for. When you living under that, is a lot less stressful. You're not worried about a mortgage. You're not worried about whether or not somebody can come and take this from you. As long as I keep my taxes paid, I'm here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You definitely got to keep your taxes paid. But what do you think about refi? A lot of people do refi. I've done a few since I've been here. What do you think about that?
When people do refi, I think we need the way you do a refi. I think a lot of people. I hear people go do refi and they pull the equity out of the house. The bank will try to push you to do a refi with a closed-end loan. I would encourage anybody, if you're doing a refi on a house, talk to you. They ain't gonna never tell you. Try to do an open-end refi.
All right, could you explain closed-end and open-end?
Closed-end means like you got a mortgage. Let's say your mortgage now, you go to the bank and your house is worth $300,000 and you paying it down, what you call equity. So what happens is the equity in your house, you paying that every time you make a payment, you paying on the principal. Some of it going to interest, some of it going to principal. So that actual payment is coming. The value of the house is coming down. So let's say you stayed there for 5 years, you done paid $50,000 on that $350,000 house. Now you got $50,000 left in equity.
Right.
Okay. But when you go back to the bank, you try to refinance. You try to get your equity out of your house. I want to refinance and get this money out. When you go back to the bank, ask them for that's called a closed-end line. You can't access that money without going back to the bank. There's another kind of loan called an open-end line or refinance. What happens is you make the same payment the same way, but when you refinance it, it's open-ended. That way, you never have to go back to the bank to access your equity. Every time you make a payment, it's like going to a savings account. So you pay
like
your
a line
loan
of
down.
credit. The equivalent
it's like
of
a line of credit. It's a line of credit.
Okay.
But open-ended, you can go access that money anytime. You just go say, look, I want to use this. I'm going to write a check. I'm going to buy this. So now you're able to invest in something else. I would only do that with responsible people because some people can get that, and then you get in over your head because you've been borrowed money and bought cars. I wouldn't use that money to buy no cars or buy something that ain't gaining value back. When I do it, I use it to buy something that I'm investing in to make more money or or build something on the other side. So that's how I would look at that. If you can, if you do that, but a lot of banks not going to advertise that open-end product.
Yeah, because they got to they're going to have to put a ceiling on it in the beginning too. So you can't be, if you take a refi, you say, okay, I'm on $200,000 line of credit. You can't exceed 200, right?
That's right. You can't exceed the 200. That's right.
All right, but you can take out like 25 here to invest in this, and until you get up to that cap, that ceiling rather. So yeah. Another thing too that I want to ask you that it appears that a lot of people think that buying a house is a risk because the price can go down. You can go either way. Like the market goes demand and supply. Right now where it's the seller's market. It's not a buyer's market. But then like during the big recession back in 2008-9, the price of houses, the value dropped almost 50 to 60% in some places. How do people see that and they say, I'm not going to buy a house because the value may go down. But I believe that over the long term, if your horizon, it's all about your horizon, how far down the line you're looking. There could be price fluctuation, but at the end of the day, real estate is going to always go up.
I believe that. I think you're going to have some downturns. Sometimes the real estate market may drop, may switch over back and forth. But I don't think either way, it's still better than renting. Because at the end of the day, that money you're giving the rent, I take it. It don't bother me, but I take it because we do rental properties. But that you gaining my value at that point. At the same time, so my net worth is going up on the side. But I think you can't look at the downturns and whether the selling market where you're losing value at that point. So just the same way that downturn happened in the housing market, it's the same way it happened everywhere. So the housing market may have went down, but that means the value of the dollar went down the same way. For instance, I tell people like this: if you look at the value of a dollar, if I had $1 in the bank, if I had $100 in the bank 5 years ago, that same $100 today is only worth $85. So it ain't the same value anymore because the inflation.
Yeah.
But if you had that same $100 and you owned a piece of property with it, it went up 15%. So now the same dollar is worth $1.15.
Right.
So you got to look at it from both perspectives. Mm-hmm. So instead of having cash just sitting around in a bank account, I would always put my cash in a property because it's going to move, it's going to fluctuate, but over a long period of time, it's going to gain value. Inflation is going to go 2 to 3% every year. That's just normal. So you got to look at the value of money and how it operates. I would look at it.
I know during the Great Recession back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, they blamed it on people that bought homes way above their means, and you had real estate agents or having loans or homes sold to people that were basically they couldn't afford to pay.
Right.
All right. And that was like a trigger for the Great Recession because don't forget those tranches of those mortgage loans, they package them and they put them out on the market. Right.
Right.
And they trade them. Those things are traded,
right.
And they are insured by collateral debt obligations, like I think AIG was a big one, all right? But these underlying mortgages, people weren't paying them because they couldn't afford it. Do you see that type of scenario playing out again? Because the housing market is what they blamed that Great Recession on. Mm-hmm. All right, people that could not pay their mortgage, and they always point at the minorities. Yeah, y'all guys getting, $1 million home and you only make $175 a week, but you were getting a loan. You were getting a house. Now you can't pay for it. And they attributed a lot to what happened during the Great Recession to that. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I started in 2000. I started right in the middle of the recession. So the only way I can go was up from there. So I don't know exactly how that played out, but I'm a firm believer. I'm a believer at all times that God's always going to provide during a recession. Like, He's going to sustain His chosen people in during a recession, just period. If you're in the line of work where you're supposed to be and where God bless you at, He says it's going to always be seed time and harvest. So I don't believe that no matter what I'm doing, there's going to be a recession where things doesn't work. But I would say to those people that buying those houses, that's having an issue with affordability and keeping them, I still think it's better to have owned the house during that time than to be renting. Because the same people that when you own that house, it still took some time for them to get you moved out of the house. They have programs set up. And I do believe that it was some regulation flaws in the process at that point. I think the banks was giving out too many different loans and wasn't regulating or checking the people's income and credit the way they should have. Correct. Because they were just looking at the greed part of what they were doing as far as I give out this loan, getting the commission checks. The real estate agents were getting all the commission checks. I do believe that was happening, but I don't think that happens now. I do think it's going to be happening with some of these national builders because they're doing the same thing again. They don't check.
They're financing.
They finance the house. They don't check all of the requirements to buy a house. They don't check all the requirements what it takes to go in and purchase a house if you go to a conventional bank. If you go to one of these national builders, you can go to the national builder. They buy here like a buy here, pay here.
2 paychecks.
So they're just taking your 2 paychecks still, putting you in a house and saying you can buy it and you're good to go. I think over time that could cause a problem. If somebody's been working for a little bit and over time it could cause a problem. I think
the people that
I think the people that we're buying houses that we sell houses to, they got to go to a bank, so they're getting checked and double checked and triple checked out of the federal government or the FDIC is making. They got certain regulations they got to require to meet in order to buy this house. So I think that's a good process. I think some of the regulations can be loosened up just a tad. I do think we got to make sure we got some regulation in place that way that doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. But right now I don't know if it happened because America is 5 million home shortage in America right now.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's so many shortage in homes that they can't build them fast enough because so many people trying to buy them, but they don't have the product to buy. Okay.
Looking forward to the next 5 years, how do you see the market going forward? Unshakeable Builders. I know you have a subsidiary All right, with the rental side, or is that the property management side? What you got two entities that you have now, Unshakeable Builders, and the other one is?
I have Newkirk Family Investments. I have Groundbreaking Developers. Actually, I got 7 entities. But
7?
7, yes. So Unshakable Builders is my main entity, but we got Innovation Property Management that handles all of my rental agencies and rental portfolios. We have Newkirk Family Investments. We have Groundbreaking Developers. I have DECC Incorporated, and we got another company called DNS Distribution Center where we buy our own products, and we do like distributing and selling products to the public, and also selling products to go in our homes and things of that nature. So we're around
commercial real estate.
Oh yeah, we got commercial strip centers, commercial strip malls. We do daycare facility, family life center for church. We build churches. One of the things in the next 5 years that one of our biggest projects we're working on now is hotel project. We bought a franchise from Wyndham, and we're going to build our own hotel. One of my main goals my entire life, always since I've been playing Monopoly as a kid, was to own my own hotels. So you buy the land, you build houses. When you get enough, then you end up building hotels. So that's one of my major goals, and I think we're getting closer and closer and closer by the day to being able to see that come to pass.
Wow, tremendous, man! That is awesome. That is so awesome. I mean, if you looked at that video that we pushed out Tuesday with Jean Garner, that's her space, hotel management, and she's trying to get into that. Okay. That's cool, man. That's a cool space, that sector. So I'm so proud that you were getting in there. Y'all guys are getting ready to get into that sector because that's going to be really, really nice.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for joining the Walt Weekly. We can be found at Facebook, The Walt Weekly Podcast, Instagram, The Walt Weekly, and www.thewaltweekly.com. Please like, follow, and share.